Here he comes. Here he comes. Yeah.
So it's 1985, and I'm in Miss Porter's Intro to Psych class in high school, and I am mortified. The class before it was theater, and Mrs. Morrison, the theater teacher, while I was giving a monologue, said, "Hey, Patrick, stop. I need you to do something about your hands." I said, "Well, my hands, what?" And she said, "Well, they're so big and so gay." And so normally, and you might think that was 40 years ago, people could say they couldn't say that even 40 years ago, but normally I wouldn't listen to Mrs. Morrison because she used to take a thermos full of vodka into class and just pass out by the end of the class. But unfortunately, I was sitting next to Caleb Conrad, who was perfect and beautiful and also was my lab partner in psych the next class. So I'm sitting next to him trying to think of a way to butch up my hands. Like, I thought maybe if I chopped some wood or beat someone up or something. And I normally really love Mrs. Porter's class because Mrs. Porter is one of those, we used to call them earthy, crunchy type of women. She wore these like long, beautiful prairie dresses and had stick straight hair and little John Lennon glasses. And she was one of those teachers who always seemed to be 11 months pregnant all the time. So Mrs. Porter had a great class. I loved the class because Caleb was next to me all the time, and I could just not look at him too much. And she would lecture her class by sort of leaning up against her desk because she couldn't fit behind it anymore. So I'm sitting there staring at my big, giant, gay hands, just thinking maybe camouflage or something would work. When Mrs. Porter, she looks at Caleb and me, and she says, Boys, I love the class too because you called the two of us boys, which made me think that we would eventually own a castle and have little dogs together. And she said, "Boys, now I don't want to alarm anybody, but could one or both of you go down to the nurse's office?" And she didn't finish that sentence because then something happened that I can only call the event, which is if Mrs. Porter had smuggled an aquarium under her dress and then let it go, her water broke, and it splashed on the linoleum right up onto Caleb and me, right in our faces. It was more water than I thought would come out of a human being. And immediately, my big gay hands do the universal sign for gay panic, which is, oh. So the entire class is stunned. Caleb and I are dripping, and Miss Porter, because she is just the coolest person in the world, said, "Maybe you want to go to the nurse's office now and get her." So Caleb and I are walking down the hallway just like we've been in Friday the 13th, like we've seen Jason kill all of our classmates, and we need to get the nurse. And we go into the nurse's office, and she's like, "So what's all over you?" And we went, "Mrs. Porter." And she's like, "Oh, okay, her water broke, so who lives closest?" And Caleb said, "I live closest." And she said, "Okay, you boys, why don't you go over to Caleb's house, get yourselves cleaned up, and then come back when you can." Because it was 1985, and they didn't think that we could get a day off or therapy or anything for this. So I'm thinking I have just ruined my entire life because, one, I had drama class with my big, giant, enormous Macy's float gay hands. And as we're changing our clothes and toweling ourselves off, Caleb turns to me and he says, "You scream like a girl." I said, yeah, I guess I did. And he said, yeah, in Ms. Morrison's class, she talked about your hands, right? I said, yeah. And then he picked up my hand and he held it up to his and he said, "Yeah, it's pretty big." I said, "Yeah." And then he put his hand around mine, and he said, "Pretty gay, too." And that's when I learned that even in the most beautiful, natural, psychologically damaging moment of your life, that your therapist says you can get over that now. It was just amniotic fluid. There are still little moments of beauty that can be wonderful and special and kind of gay. Thanks.
That's Patrick.